This is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report. And as you can see from the pictures, we're talking about transgenderism. But we're not talking about it at what we usually hear, the high school level or at the ball game, adults, etc. We're talking about it at the kindergarten level and at the first grade level, and two different stories that came out, which are a little concerning. You got transgender kids. The first one involves a kid that came out. All these kids are in a kindergarten class, and they're having a sex education course. Why they need a sex session, a sex ed session in kindergarten is beyond me. I don't think it should be happening. And I'm pretty liberal, I'm pretty open out there, and I'm not for that. But then this transgender kid who apparently knows that he or she or he isn't he's a she. And they came out during this sex ed session. And it amazed a lot of individuals. A lot of these kindergartners are like, what do you mean? He's a guy or a boy or a girl? I'm really confused by all this. And a lot of parents were outraged. And this happened in Rockland. And two incidences happened here in Rockland. So you got this teacher. She's in there. She's reading this transgender book. The book is I Am Jazz. And it's a story about a transgender kid. And it's based on a real-life experience of this kid, Jazz Jennings, who's become the spokesperson for trans kids everywhere. And they're reading that, and that's when this kid comes out and says this. So then this daughter hears about it. She goes home crying and says, oh, my God, I'm afraid I'm going to turn into a boy tomorrow. I was in the school, and they came out and they told me all this stuff. And this kid came out and he said he's a she, and I don't know. I'm confused now. And I'm in kindergarten, and I'm really confused. And the parents probably as confused as I am right now. So the parents, rightfully so, called the school and said, what the hell is going on there? Why are you reading transgender books to my kindergarten kid? And it wasn't one student, one parent. It was several. And the school board said, well, you know what? We don't really need your approval. We can do what we want. We can change and put out any curriculum we want. We don't need your approval. And that's what schools have become today. Think about it. And it shouldn't be new to you. I was reading another article where a guy said, you know, if you look at that novel, actually I think he commented, that 1932 novel, Brave New World, where they talked about elites envisioning sexualizing young kids, and you should have known that's going to be coming for decades. But in that same school, you got a first grader, okay? And this is a week after this kindergarten incident, this misgendered classmate incident occurred. You know, where they mistakenly used the wrong, we had a pronoun mishap, if you will. Well, they're roiled in controversy again. And that's because this poor kid made a mistake of mislabeling somebody. Genderism. What happened is the kid accidentally called somebody a little girl. Or a boy, and he should have called her a little girl because it's a boy transitioning to a girl. And I get so confused. Girl, boy, girl, I don't know what they are anymore. So this little kid, he's out there. They're in the playground. This first grader. He sees somebody that he's probably known, you know, since he's been in school. Who knows, maybe preschool. Maybe they live next door to each other. And she accidentally called him a he or she a he, using the wrong pronoun. So she got herself in trouble. This happened on the playground. The teacher said, what, you got to go to the principal's. You should be calling little Johnny here Susie. You know he goes by Susie now, and you know, even though he's in kindergarten, you know fairly well that he is a she. She's a he. What are they? Well, anyways, this kid ended up going, this first grader. He went to the principal's office. He was investigated for like an hour, interrogated by the principal, bullied. Or they said she was bullying the transgender kid by calling him the original name. Let's say it's Johnny. You called him Johnny. You know he wants to be Susie. You're bullying him. And the kid's traumatized. She's traumatized. She went home. What am I in trouble for? And what's happening here at Rockland Academy is just an example. It's an example of how schools have become these indoctrination grounds. Indoctrination grounds for LGBTQ rights, for any of those liberal, progressive policies that are out there. And the only way to stop these indoctrinations, to put an end to these, is for us as parents to stand up. It's just like in my school. When this idiot vice principal got my daughter in there, she had my daughter down there, and my daughter broke up a fight. And all they saw on the camera was my daughter going in there. They didn't realize that these two girls were fighting. Her friend was getting beat. Nobody was stopping it, so she went in to pull the girl off and say enough is enough. They made her sign a form. She didn't read it. She said, Dad, even if I read it, I couldn't understand it. They made her sign it saying it's all true. She started questioning her and interrogating her. I said, is there no due process? You walk through this door and you lose all your constitutional rights. There's no due process here. And I told my daughter, if this lady, and I pointed at her, I said, if this lady ever questions you, ever wants you to sign anything, you don't do it. You say, you're not doing anything till your father gets home to the school to pick you up. So then the lady said, oh, what? You're not you're questioning my authority? She called the cops in. I'm like, what have I done that is angry, that is scaring you? And nothing. The cop was almost laughing. I did nothing but challenge her authority and said I would not allow her to go through and do this to my child. And parents need to step up and do that. And I've done it a couple times. Now I think I'm pretty much fair there, because I will go to the wall, ensuring that my daughter's rights are maintained. And every parent needs to do that. Okay? This whole situation, it's unpleasant. It's uncomfortable. You know, calling a he that wants to now be a she by his name Johnny instead of Susie, and putting a kid through this, having all these kindergartners sit around and telling them about transgenderism, and then having some kid out himself as a transgender, and then not getting the parents' approval. No matter if you are for transgenderism or not, this whole process, this whole thing they're doing there, just is not right and has many concerns. What say you? This has been Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report.